Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into some absolutely fascinating source material documenting a heavily classified 1995 Turkish state operation. According to the state records and witness accounts we'll be looking at, this top-secret mission unearthed a biological anomaly so profound, it literally defied the laws of nature. We are talking about ancient graves, intense government secrecy, and physical phenomena that left witnesses in absolute, utter shock. So, let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this right at the climax of the story. Picture this. A state-sanctioned excavation team drives their shovels into ancient rock tombs in Egil, Turkey. Now, they were expecting standard archaeological findings for 3,000-year-old graves, right? You know, dust, deteriorated garments, maybe some bone fragments. But instead, they encountered a physical mystery that completely upended their entire understanding of biology. They didn't find skeletons down there. They found something that completely defied the natural rules of life and death as we know them. So, part one, a top-secret operation and the Dicle Dam threat. To understand exactly how we arrived at this mind-bending moment, we need to step back to see how this all started. We're in the high-stakes atmosphere of September 1995 in the Egil district. Early in the month, the massive Dicle Dam was nearing completion, and the rising waters threatened to permanently swallow up the ancient resting places of two deeply revered figures, Prophet Zulkifl and Prophet Elyesa. Because these graves held such massive historical and religious significance, the government launched a highly classified relocation mission. By mid-September, a decree literally stamped secret was dispatched directly from the Ministry of Interior in Ankara. The government knew for a fact that publicly opening the graves of recognized prophets could incite total public chaos. So by late September, they initiated an extraordinary protocol of absolute secrecy. And when I say absolute secrecy, I mean it. The operation was so strictly guarded that a committee of exactly 9 people was selected to oversee the whole thing. According to the archives, this group included the district governor, the local mufti, and a highly respected scholar named Mullah Omar Halkan. Before heading out with Special Operations Police in the early morning hours, these 9 individuals were brought into a small room. There, they had to swear a solemn oath of silence on the Quran, promising never to speak of what they were about to do, or, more importantly, what they were about to see. Moving into part 2, the impossible discovery, unearthing the tombs. This intense secrecy really sets the stage for what comes next. The accounts vividly recount the hushed, deeply visceral moments when this small, anxious team finally reached the resting place of Prophet Elyesa. The excavation was incredibly meticulous. It started with Mullah Omar Halkan entering the area entirely alone, offering a prayer to ask for spiritual permission to disturb the grave. After that, workers underwent a grueling day and a half of intense physical labor, hacking their way through unforgiving layers of lead, granite, and solid stone. And when they finally broke through that final barrier, they didn't find a skeleton. The accounts state they uncovered a perfectly uncorrupted body wrapped in a pristine shroud. This is the crucial point of the source material. Those 9 sworn witnesses reported finding a man who looked as though he had passed away only hours earlier. They reported his muscles were soft and flexible. His skin was entirely intact. The burial shroud looked like it hadn't even touched the damp earth of the grave. And the sources highlight a particularly striking detail. As the team carefully transferred the body to a new coffin, a single lock of hair fell from the shroud. A lock described as being neither fully black nor fully white. The sheer biological impossibility of this sight reportedly left some of the onlookers in a state of deep psychological shock for months. That brings us to part 3, the prophetic promise, a theological explanation. Because, they had to make sense of this somehow. You really have to ask yourself, how did the state officials and witnesses biologically and theologically process what they were seeing? When you are staring at a 3,000-year-old body that looks like it's just sleeping, the human mind kind of struggles to comprehend it, right? Without any scientific explanation for this total lack of decomposition, they naturally turn to their faith. The believers on site found their answer in a very famous hadith. The Messenger of Allah stated that Allah has forbidden the earth from consuming the bodies of the prophets. For the 9 people standing in that tomb, this wasn't just some ancient text anymore. To them, this unbelievable physical preservation was living, tangible confirmation of a divine promise. It was literal evidence of a supernatural protection that flawlessly survives 3 millennia underground. And it gets wilder, because this wasn't an isolated event. 2 days after exhuming Prophet Elyesa, the team opened the grave of Prophet Zulkifl. According to state archives and witness testimonies, opening the second grave yielded the exact same astonishing result. Another perfectly preserved body, completely untouched by time, decay, or the dampness of the earth. This identical finding really solidified the theological narrative for the witnesses. It shifted the event from a singular, crazy anomaly to a confirmed, documented pattern. Okay, part 4, Profiles in Patience. Let's look at the prophets' identities, just to ground these miraculous claims in the ancient lore. The historical accounts in the source material provide some incredibly rich histories for these figures. Prophet Elyesa was the faithful successor to Prophet Ilyas. He walked tirelessly through mountains and valleys, constantly calling his people back to God during a severe era of extreme drought and rampant idol worship. Then you have Prophet Zulkifl, the son of Ayub, who was celebrated across generations in texts for his unparalleled, legendary patience and his unwavering commitment to judging fairly among his people. According to the religious lore detailed here, Zulkifl's legacy is defined by 3 monumental promises he made to Allah. He promised to pray every single night, fast every single day, and, perhaps the hardest one of all, to never, ever lose his temper. The lore states he kept this final promise so perfectly that he refused to yield to anger even when he was directly provoked and tempted by Iblis or Satan, who came to him in disguise. It's this exact level of spiritual fortitude that the sources argue earned him such profound divine protection. Which brings us to part 5, the invisible call and the public's reaction to all of this. As the operation moved into its final phase, this strictly secret state mission inadvertently moved into the public eye in a way literally no one anticipated. The official plan relied on empty, silent streets in the early hours to ensure an undetected transport of the bodies to their new resting place. But the reality? Entirely different. As the pickup truck carrying the green-clothed coffins drove through the town of Egil, the sources describe this inexplicable, invisible call. Somehow, despite 0 official announcements and absolute state secrecy, this unseen pull drew the people right out of their shops, out of their homes, and into the streets. The sources describe a spontaneous and deeply emotional public reaction. Without any news breaking at all, crowds instinctively line the sidewalks. The text reports people weeping openly, passionately reciting takbir and making dua, supplications, as the coffins passed by. Keep in mind, no one had officially told these crowds who was actually inside those coffins. Yet, according to the accounts, their hearts instinctively recognized the weight of the moment, and they responded with overwhelming reverence to these unrecognized prophets. Ultimately, the source notes that the secret mission did achieve its primary objective. The incredibly preserved bodies of Prophet Elyesa and Prophet Zulkifl were safely relocated and laid to rest on Nebi Harun Hill. They remain there today, elevated and entirely secure from the rising waters of the Dicle Dam reservoir down below. So the state avoided the chaos they feared, but they left behind a documented account of something truly unexplainable by modern science. So, what do we take away from all this? Looking back at these remarkable accounts of preservation and patience, we are forced to ask a much bigger question. Does true legacy come from the fleeting applause of the world, or does it come from a divine promise that the earth itself cannot break? It's a really striking thought about the nature of devotion and the mysteries that still exist just beneath the surface of our everyday world. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning what you know.